Um, right, Bruno, want to do a mini intro before we start?
Yeah, so overall, the goal of today is to do a live upgrade from 4.2 SP8 to 4.3 SP2. And just to remind you that SP2 will be out in December. So Gregory, make sure you make that happen because we've announced it. And so Patrick in this process is going to show how to do the upgrade and also how to leverage 360 to be doing that upgrade. And he'll be sharing some tips and tricks as always. So we'll have a lot of fun with you, Patrick. Let's get things started.
Excellent. Christoph, you should see my screen. Excellent. All right.
So Patrick, I won't do any bad jokes today, or I'll try not to. So
all right. It will be a challenge for you, Bruno, I think.
I'm looking forward for our event next month when we'll do the user group, and I'm looking forward to see your awesome Christmas sweater. So I could do a lot of jokes about that.
Yeah, everybody, there'll be a 360 user group in a few weeks, and it will be Christmas celebration with jumpers and champagne. So hopefully we'll see you there. But right, okay, the topic of the day is doing a live upgrade from, we picked 4.2 SP8, but if you are with any 4 releases, 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, it will be the same thing, and we'll go to 4.3 SP2. So Patrick Sim showed you SP2. We'll go to that same environment here. So if anybody is planning to go to SP1 instead of SP2, because it's not released just yet, again, the steps are the same, but we thought it would be a great opportunity to show you the latest and greatest. Now, you may have seen this slide before. What is your path to migrating to 4.3? Well, it depends where you're coming from. And in the previous release, Bruno asked which versions, you people online today were coming from. The majority were in 4.3, sorry, if not that's 4.2, which is great. And I'll come back to that in a second. But if you're not in 4.2, and some of you happens to still be perhaps on 3.1, we see this from time to time, then you need to migrate to 4.2 first before you can then thinking about going to 4.3. Right? So you cannot go from 3.1 to 4.3 straight away. That's the important bit here. So the scenario most common for the vast majority of the people here, like I said, you're in 4 point something, you want to go to 4.3, it can be done directly, right? So if you are on premise, you're at home with your own server, you can either install 4.3 straight on top of your 4.1 or 4.2, that's called an in-place update, or you can do it side by side by using a promotion tool, either the one coming with business objects, or you can use our own promotion tool coming with 360 Suite. Now, I'm not going to do this again because I have in the past. So again, this scenario of doing in place. So you install 4.3, only SP1 because SP2 is not out yet. So 4.3 SP1 straight on top of your 4.2. It's technically possible. I wrote a blog about this. You see the link here. It's on the SAP SCN. We'll be sharing slides. So you can have a look at the pros and cons of doing an in-place upgrade. Not my favorite personally. I prefer side by side. But here we go. There's a blog highlighting the pros and cons. The scenario number 2 is side by side. And again, that's like I just said, it is my favorite method because you can start with a newer server, you can have a fresher operating system, you can update a lot of drivers and everything. There's no downtime. Again, there's a number of pros and cons for doing a side-by-side upgrade. We have done in the past with Bruno, and I'm highlighting these YouTube link here on our YouTube channel. The previous presentations that we've done. So a lot of the questions we receive is what are the prerequisites What are the steps? What do you have any checklists? Do you have any list of items to test? The answer to all of these questions you will find in these previous three webinars or recordings that we've done before, where I have done a live side-by-side upgrade from 4.2 SP8 to 4.3 SP1. So again, I recommend you having a look at this presentation.
And all these presentations and the presentation of today is available on our virtual booth. So we'll put a link to that in the comment box. And you can also go on our YouTube channel, which is actually our Wiiisdom channel that you can visit. And then you'll see there all these past recordings.
Absolutely. I put the link here. It's a good place to plug it. We do a lot of events, as you will have seen today, and you might know already. All of these things are always recorded, including this session today, and they will be uploaded on our YouTube channel very shortly. Okay, so what are we going to do today? So today will be a side-by-side upgrade, because the scenario we'll be doing is I want to move from my on-premise server installation that you've had for many years, and you want to go to a hosted platform in the cloud, right? So, and by this now, I don't mean you have a VM on AWS or Azure that you maintain everything yourself, right? That's kind of the same as being on-premise, in the sense that you control the OS, you control the VM, you add and remove CPU and RAM and disk as you please. The only difference is that physical server, if you want, is not in your own server room. It's somewhere in the cloud. You have full control around it. Now, I do realize there's the challenges with network bandwidth and communication, but in terms of you dealing with the operating system, it's exactly the same as being on-premise here. By hosted, I mean either you have a third-party company hosting these business objects for you. There is a number of SAP partners doing that, or PCE. So specifically today, I want to talk about the PCE, which Patrick Sims just explained briefly a few minutes ago. And Bruno did a session with Patrick Sims specifically on that a few weeks ago. Again, you can find on our YouTube channel. But Bruno, for the people who might not have been here a few minutes ago, just to give a bit of concept, could you explain what PCE is, please?
Yeah, so PCE, as we were discussing a little bit earlier as well with Patrick Sims, is overall, it's business object on hyperscalers such as AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud, as an example, and it's being hosted by SAP. And hosted and managed by SAP. So it's basically, it's your on-prem deployment that you're actually moving to the private cloud edition of business objects. And from there, once it's on 4.3 on PCE, then SAP will handle all the upgrades, all the service packs. So they'll be responsible for doing that. And I think as of 4.3, there'll be about 1 SP per year. So you won't need to worry about that. SAP will do that for you. And in terms of administration, all the remaining part of administration will still need to be done by each environment, because there are always some things that are specific, but at least you don't need to worry anymore about doing the upgrades, which it's always the most fun part. So.
Absolutely. So SAP will be managing the operating system for you, the installation of business objects, and patching or updating it. In terms of administering business objects, so doing the security model, for instance, or configuring the services, like increasing from 5 to 10 the job servers, or changing timeout values for Webby. So controlling or configuring the application itself, business objects in the CMC, that is still done by you, though. So again, SAP takes care of the machine, the hardware, the CPU, the RAM, the disk, installing the software and patching the software. Everything application-based remains yours as it is today.
Yes, and also in terms of all the testing, as always, you can still leverage 360. In fact, it's something that is still your responsibility. So, that has to continue. And 360 is the official partner of SAP for PCE. And we're doing a lot of work with SAP in order to help customers move to PCE. So there are a lot of advantages and there are a lot of new things that have been put in place in the past 2 months. So I highly recommend that you look into it. It's really good. And additionally, you can convert or it's going to be on a subscription model. So that's pretty nice.
Okay, so that's the context of what we're trying today. You have 4.2 or 4.3, right? So you have business objects on-premise on your own server, and you wish to go to the private cloud edition, PCE, hosted by SAP, and you want to do the work here. Now, a final point on what the real difference is between being on-premise or a VM on Azure, AWS that you control versus being hosted by somebody else is the level of access and decisions that you have. First of all, you may not have the choice of the operating system. Now, thankfully for business objects, it's not that critical, but it's still important to know for a number of reasons. PCE is Linux only, right? So, but technically speaking, there's no issue. You can go from 4.2 Windows to 4.3 PCE, which is Linux. If I didn't tell you, you might not even have known, actually, right? But it's important because not every components of business objects are supported or working on Linux. So you need to keep that in mind. And some of your database drivers, which were Windows drivers, now they have to be Linux drivers, which again, there will be an equivalent for sure, but it means you want to probably test things a bit more than you did before. Another thing is you may not have access to do a remote desktop, and with PCE you will not have access to do that. Like I said, SAP or these third-party SAP partners, they host things for you. So the operating system, the antivirus, the configuration of a lot of these things is done by them, not by you. So you will not have remote desktop access to just go and do a little hack on a file somewhere or in the registries if it was Windows. So again, you may not have and you will not have access to that with PCE. Sizing and storage may not be as flexible as what you want. With PCE, for instance, it is a t-shirt size. I think the t-shirt size is pretty good. So t-shirt size medium will give you X RAM, X CPU in the space. It's been done really well. So in the PCE case, not an issue here again, but keep that in mind. PCE, once again, it will not be you managing these things here. With PCE, you will not have admin rights on the box itself, like we said already, but you will have full admin rights on your business objects, like I said before. So again, at least this is really good. You have full control on the business objects applications. That's great. Now, think about changes that you want to do. Again, it's not you who controls the architecture of it, right? So tomorrow, you need to open a new port on the firewall. You need to contact SAP, or you need to contact those people doing the hosting for you, right? So these changes may not happen as fast as you'd like, and do check the terms and conditions because there might be a cost associated with doing changes after the initial configuration. So to get the setup right at the beginning is important. And I'll come back about the preparation and how you can do the best prep for that. Bruno did not mention it, but same as the previous session, if you have any comments or questions, please go ahead on the LinkedIn page, and we'll come back during these sessions. Okay, so if you know us, we like to create paths and number of steps to you know, to put a picture, an image on what it might look like for you if you choose to move to a hosted platform or PCE in this case. And I will go through these steps one by one, and I'll do quite a bit of demo, live demonstration as well in the next few minutes. Well, let's do it right now, actually. Let's jump straight to the point.
Awesome.
Bruno,
Thank you very much, Patrick.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I'll go through a couple questions. So Raghu was asking, can we upgrade in place from 4.2 SP7 to 4.3 SP1?
Yeah, any 4.1 and above to 4.3 you can do in place. Again, I do recommend have a look at my blog or look at the previous sessions where I have highlighted a number of pros and cons. I'm not saying do it or don't do it, but I think you will appreciate having a little bit of insight before you start. But the answer is yes.
And then I saw another question around on PC is, since PC is on Linux, what will happen to our Crystal reports?
Nothing at all. They will work as it is today. Now, this may be a question referring some comments that were made that after 2027, Crystal reports may not be working on a Linux operating system after 2027. So there's a lot of time left for that. But as far as 4.3 is concerned, there's no difference. 4.3 on Linux or Windows, except for the very specific plugins that is already the case, are not supported on Linux. There are no changes. But after 2027, there might be changes to what will continue to work or not on Linux. And yes, as far as we can hear at the moment, Crystal reports might be one of these things. Yes.
Awesome. So are you ready for the upgrade?
I am ready, but no smoke and mirrors. So first of all, I just want to show everybody that we are talking about a 4.3 SP2 environment. It's not the exact environment that Patrick Sims used earlier, but it is still, as you can see here, 4.3 SP2 with the everything that was demonstrated before. So this is, an example of a Webby with the updated interface, which is great. And I want to thank SAP to let us use it's not even a beta, it's a pre-dev release of SP2 for this session, which is awesome. Okay, so the first things first, before you start, is important to prepare, right? You are going to migrate to a server which is not installed and not configured by you. So you need to tell these people, so SAP, right? You need to tell them what you have, what you need, how it's configured, so they can deliver that configuration which works for you. Now, doing an assessment or pre-upgrade, pre-migration assessment, and we have, we've done a white paper on this, and I've done a session with the top 10 tips on this. It's a lot of steps. So, like Bruno said, we are of course an SAP partner. We are the how do you call this, Bruno? We are the preferred partner. How do you call that?
Yeah, we're the official partner, actually.
Official
PC,
partner
in terms of software to help for upgrades. There's so much of other partners as well out there. I saw a question from Nathan Truon, who's from Fertility, and of course he's doing a lot of PCE migration. In fact, he's got a quite big one right now, so it's great.
Excellent. So what I've done here is, so on this server, I have my 4.2 SP08 environment, as you can see here. Here you go. That's my 4.2 SP8, and I'm going to migrate to this one here, which is not on this server. This is in the cloud, right? Hosted for real by SAP, which is 4.3. So I want to do a pre-migration assessment, and there's great partners like Procivity who can work with you to do this. And 360, our solutions, right, can help you doing that as well. So the sort of things that is important is, what I would typically say is just migrate everything you have, right? Migrate everything you have from your 4.2 to SP3, a big bang push of everything you have. And then you can do some cleanup. And once you've done the cleanup, then you can do some tests. But this is quite relevant, I think, when you are doing on-premise, side-by-side. You have all the time in the world. You control everything. It's fine if you change your mind and you make mistakes and that sort of things. Now you're going to go, like I said, somewhere else. You've made decisions about the t-shirt size. You have informed SAP, right? I need connectivity to Oracle and SQL and Snowflake, and all of these, things needs to be done to make sure that your databases are working. And well, I think it's a good opportunity this time to do either some cleanup before you promote, so you don't promote everything, or then you make a pre-selection of what you want to promote, and then you do a selective promotion to the environment. So let's say you have 1,000 reports. Instead of promoting 1,000 and then you delete half that are never used, well, maybe you want to, in your source, remove these 500 and then you promote just the good ones. Or you don't delete anything, but you find a way to select only the 500 reports that you want, and then you promote it. And I'll come back about all this. But in terms of preparation, we will give you tons of information here, right? So pre-document your security. So you make sure that your security is still going to be promoted fine in the future. It's easy to break security when you do promotion. If you don't configure your third-party authentication properly, if you don't import the groups and the users at the same time as the object. So you will need these reports after the migration to do a side-by-side comparison of, have I migrated my security properly? Same thing with the scheduling here, right? You need to make sure that the sizing of the new server can take care of all of your scheduling. You need to make sure that if you are using any destinations like FTP or email or disk, that these are configured properly, that you have all the rights, like an email server, for instance. So with 360, we can give you, a full analysis of the instances that are currently being scheduled on a recurring basis, but also the things from the past to help you configure and manage all of these things. And same thing with the instances. We see companies with tens, sometimes hundreds of thousands of instances from the past, the last 10, 15 years. Do you really want to promote all of the instances to this new environment? Is it time to do a bit of cleanup? Maybe you want to clean all of them, or do a partial cleanup. For some reports, keep the last 10 years of instances, but others keep 10 or only 1 year, that sort of thing. So how to be granular with this. And this is the power of 360 here. Business Objects has a lot of good features to do all or nothing. Promote everything or promote nothing, or clean everything or clean nothing. We have the ability to say, I want to keep 3 of this, 5 of that, 2 months of this. I want to promote only these things, but not of these things. You can be so flexible and granular and in such an easy way, which is why you love our solutions if you want to, if you choose to migrate to PCE. So instances here. Now, this environment is not massive. I have 800 megs of content here, but you have seen your end users with gigs and gigs of inboxes. Do you need to push all of their inboxes to the cloud? So again, this solution of ours here will help you to see what you have, make the best decision. Bruno talked about licenses here. make sure that the new server has enough power for the number of users that need access to your platform. But also, this will tell you how many users are using the system. And part of the PCE offering is SAP will want to negotiate with you to convert your unused business objects licenses to go to SAC or negotiate your subscription model. So to have a clear picture of what your peak sessions are and how many users are using a named or concurrent and who they are. Again, that will go a long way towards your negotiations with SAP to have an exact picture of and no guessing of what you have.
Yeah, definitely. And there is a direct impact of the amount of users to the t-shirt size as well for PCE. And typically we see about 30% of licenses are not used. In terms of content, I think it's around 60% of content that has not been used in the past 13 months usually. So, yeah.
So, and in terms of preparation, I'll go a bit quickly here, but documenting the documents that you have. Do you have reports which are unpurged? Unpurged reports means they are big files. Bigger file means it takes more time to promote all of that content to the cloud. So maybe you want to purge some or all the Webby reports automatically. And again, 360 can help you to automate that entire process. I'll come back to that. Impact analysis, it is very powerful because, again, to understand which universe is using which data source and which reports are impacted will be a big deal if there's any database connectivity issue now that you're hosted in the cloud. And finally, usage and non-usage. We can do for all this for the reports and the users, but I'll show you here for the universes. But it's quite powerful to see which universes are used and which objects in these universes are used or not. Again, if you take this opportunity here to not promote everything that you own from your on-prem to PCE, well, you might want to remove universes. If you remove universes, well, then remove the reports that goes with it, probably, unless you want to keep the instances. If you have universes like this one here, where you have only 100 objects out of 481 which are used, maybe you want to have a look what these objects are, so you can either remove them, hide them. Maybe they are based on the linked universe that you need or don't need. So again, you have a great opportunity to do some analysis to understand what you want to keep and not keep. Right, and like I said, configuring this other platform. So that was step 1 and 2, right? So analyze your data, get prepared, understand about your licensing. If you choose to do some cleanup before promoting to PCE, you want to make sure you have a backup. Now, we talked about this many times before in the past with 360, but there's obviously the number 1 type of backup. Make sure you back up your system database and your file store, right? So at least you have your entire platform backup. That's the very least that you need. But if you're going to go and purge some Webby or delete some universes, reports, or users, well, you want to make sure it's easy to recover these individual objects in case you deleted something you don't want to. And with 360, it cannot be simpler. You create a backup task. A backup task is a single line here, and every single object in the platform will be backed up individually, which means that if anything happens, you can always go to your recycle bin and you can restore any kind of objects, including the users, including the personal document, which will be lost. It's not part of the recycle bin with business objects, for instance. And if I go to users, do I have any users here? I don't have any users, so I'm not going to cheat, but I'll show you. users. All right, and I'll delete, there you go. User 1, I'm going to delete it right now. All associated personal document inboxes have been lost. As you know, here we go. My user 1 is now recognized as being deleted, and I can go and restore that user, the latest version of it or older version in the past. But the power is I can recover individual objects. I don't have to restore my entire server if all I want to bring back is one object. So that's important. Once you have the backup and you want to do some cleanup, that's great. We have a lot of admin tasks for you. So I can call it pre-migration cleanup, right? So here you go. Create a task. I want to run it now or later. And now I can do a lot of things. Archiving instances, it's something you might want to consider. Let's say you have 10,000 instances. It's not, it's not crazy to believe that it might be 100 gigs of instances. Do you want to promote 100 gigs of PDF or Excel spreadsheet back to PCE, right? You may not choose to do that. What you could do here, say, hey, I want to archive, right, some or all my instances, and I only care about the ones which are in PDF, Excel, and CSV format, and I want to save them to backup instances. If I'm running this here, it didn't like my data source because I need to pick something here. But if I'm running this, these instances, especially if I click remove, will go from business objects, be saved to a local hard drive, and then I can remove them from business objects. By doing only these few clicks here, I'm going to take these 10,000 instances, save them out of BO, then delete them, cleaning a lot of disk space, but you're still not losing the history. Now, like I said, and that's what it's asking me here to do, I said this before, and that's true for everything I'll show you today. We don't have to do an all or nothing. It doesn't have to be all instances or no instances. I can say only the ones which are older than, a year, or only the ones which are older than a year but belongs to these and these folders, right? I can be as granular as I want to be here. But that might be something you want to do. Take your instances out of business objects, only keep what you use, but keep your history anyway in case you need them in the future. We can do the same with the reports. Clean your inboxes if they have content which are unread or been read for a long time. Maybe you simply want to delete your instances, remove content in folders, purging Webby reports. That will reduce the disk space by a lot, making your backups faster and your promotion faster. So there's so many things here, as you can see, we can do on the reports, the universes, on the users, on the groups, tons and tons of cleanups that can be done here. And this is something safe to do because we've done a backup just before. All right, so if I go back to my slides, to my slide 2 seconds here. So I've prepared by doing a full audit of my system. My new environment is configured. I've done a backup, and maybe I've done some cleanup, which I think is a great thing to do before you generate that bigger file to go to the cloud. I'll come back to that. If you are not in 4.2 or 4.3, you may want to upgrade to 4.3 first before going to PCE. Especially, well, if you're coming from 3.1, you'll have no choice, right? So that's what it shows here. So if you're not, if you're not in a supported path, you'll have to do some upgrades work first before you can go to PCE. A second thing you might want to do before going to PCE is to convert your UNVs to UNX. Now, I'm not sure if it was mentioned by Patrick Sims just before, but UNVs are still supported in 4.3 SP2. They are going to be supported for the duration of 4.3, so that's up to 2027. But the life after 2027 will not support UNVs. Now, the only quick analogy I'll say here, the only quick thing is when it was time to do a switch from Desky to Webby, right? SAP said you have 10 years to do it, or 7 years, or whatever the amount of years was. Well, yet we had plenty of people when 4 was released that were not ready. They still had thousands of Deskys, and then, well, there was a problem. I would recommend, this is not a prerequisite to go to PCE, but it's definitely a good timing to reflect and think what you want to do with your UNVs. So with 360, find out which Webbies are used by these UNVs. Look at their activity, their actions. They're connected to that UNV, but are they used or not? Is there any scheduling happening or not? Maybe the job is going to be a lot less than you think. But if you have UNVs which are really used by a lot of Webbies, converting to UNX is generally simple. It is only a few clicks, but then you will want to repoint, of course, your current Webby report from UNV to UNX, and 360 has a one-click action to do this, which is actually right here, which we can schedule or we can do manually, but repoint Webby universes. So one click here, Webby is pointing to that old universe UNV, now to point to this UNX. Again, no risk because you have a backup of everything. So not a prereq, but keep that in mind that it could be a good timing to do this. All right then, so the prep. Bruno, before I go with the actual live demo of doing this, is there any comments or questions we should?
We can probably address the questions after. I'm just eager to go to the demo and then actually take a couple questions since time is flying.
Okay, so if we do it the business objects way, you open this tool here called the Promotion Management Wizard. So it is something that gets installed automatically on your server. So this is the promotion management of my 4.2 SP08. And again, in previous recording I've done, I spent a lot of time explaining all the different options here. But quick thing I would say is make sure you have enough temp space. This is tricking a lot of people. I'm going to log on to my 4.2 environment. Okay, and now I am going to generate an LCM beer file. Beer file, if you don't know, it's an offline package. It's one file, a big file, that will contain everything that you select. And that file, we will then import it manually in 4.3 SP2. If you had firewall access between your source and your destination environment, there'll be no problem to do this. But in this case, we don't. In this case, I have to rely on an LCM beer file. So from my source is my 4.2 right here. And my destination, I'll just save it on my D drive here, and I say promote to 4.3 SP2 file. You can put a password if you want. Next. I can take a copy of everything. In some cases, you'll want to do that. In other cases, you will not. You'll want to do selective. For instance, I want let's go to here. I want this folder here, but I don't want this folder because it's a dev environment. You can decide if you want to get all the instances, only the recurring ones, or don't get instances at all. So as you can see here, you don't have this granularity I was talking about earlier. So it could be good enough for most people, but you don't have the granularity. Do you want to include the dependencies or not? I would recommend you do so, but again, it depends of your steps. If you want to import the security or not, if you do, you need to bring the users and the groups at the same time, right? But I'll just leave it like this for now.
So are you in full screen mode, Patrick? Yes, that's awesome.
That's the biggest I can do. Okay. Yeah. Good
Perfect.
point. Yeah. So I'm going to do selective. I'll just pick one folder for the sake of time here. I click next. Because I said I wanted dependencies, they are being calculated. So it's going to tell me which universe or universes. So here we go. I need a universe connection. I need these universes and other objects. Perfect. That's what I want. Then when I click next, it's doing a final little check. Perfect. This is what I'm going to do. 17 folders, some WebEs, and then I click start. And then in the background, what that's doing, it's taking my selection and it's going to generate. It's going to be fairly quick, and it's going to, on my D drive, just need to wait for this to finish. Here we go, right there, 5.6 megs, I have this beer file. Once I have the beer file, I need to log on to my destination, which is 4.3. Let's do this here. Yeah, so again, this is 4.3 SP2. I go to promotion management. I could do it with this tool here, the promotion management wizard, the 4.3 version, which I don't have access to. I don't have the client tools on this box here, but it doesn't matter. I can do it over the web here, and I'll just import. I'll select this beer file, my D drive. Where is it here? There you go. I need to select where I want to publish it to. So this local environment, by local I mean 4.3 SP2. Okay, it's creating a new task, a summary of what it's going to bring, exactly what I've selected before. I can promote to run now or later. For bigger beer file, I like to do schedule, so keep track of it in the background. But for the sake of this, and you can see here, it's running, and it's going to take, I don't know, a couple of minutes to bring the entire content. I can probably even close this, and here we go. It's not done yet, but you can see that it has started to bring some of my content. So it is actually that simple to move content from A to B. So this is the business objects way. Generate beer file, and then you import it via the web page. The power with 360 is, especially for the bigger deployments here, where you will not want to promote everything, you might want to be selective. And with 360, there's a number of ways we can help you with this. So we have a web page here with a promotion, and I could say, I don't know, promote to 4.3 SP2 from my local environment. Same thing here. I'll go to a beer file, no problem. But now what I can do is I can be selective. Instead of saying I want to bring my public folders and then decide which public folder I want, I can do things, for instance, like filters here. So using 360, I can say, right, if any object has been used in the last year, I want them to receive a tag, like, I don't know, used, right? And then I could tell 360 only promote the object that have been tagged with used to the new environment. So don't need to delete anything and then promote. No, keep everything, just tag the things that you like, and then you promote them using these tags here. So if you want to do incremental promotion, that would be very simple. I don't know, everything which is linked with HR and older dependencies, tag them HR, then you promote HR, you're only promoting this content here. So promoting by labels, by tags, this is something incredibly powerful. Another thing you might want to do here also is, I mean, all of you will have these things like dev or ZZ don't delete. And, I've seen this so many times over the years. Well, you could very simply use the cart here, right? I want to add this folder to the cart. We see there's one thing in the cart here in the top right. And then over here, I want to add also this thing to the cart, and you add your users and universes and all these things, and your cart increases. And at the end, you just go ahead and you promote only that selection that you've added in the cart. So yeah, the ability to promoting only selectively is very good. Bruno, have I been clear about the different ways here to do the promotion?
Yeah, to me, it's crystal clear. So I think it's very helpful. That's cool.
Excellent. And yeah, and conscious of time here as well. So once you have promoted, so you have stuff, on this new server, you want to make sure everything is there. That's step number 6. And that everything is working. That's, step 7 and 8. So 360, if we go back to these reports that I've shown you earlier, we have a lot of compare reports here, compare universes, compare or report documentation here. We have compare security model, which is not here, but right here. So compare that the way things were before. Before you had 1,000 WebI, you still have 1,000 WebI. You had 50 groups and users with specific memberships. It's still the case, right? Comparing the before and after, just in terms of counting of objects, you can automate that entire process just by checking a couple of reports rather than having to click all over the place, which obviously would be extremely time consuming.
And that's a big deal because it's like migrations, upgrades, it's like a box of chocolate. It always looks good, but there's always something that doesn't taste good. So you better find it. So
yeah, you're not going to, realistically, you're not going to click on every folders and subfolders to check the security models and options of everything, right? So having one report that tells you straight away, is there a difference or not? And if there is a difference, where it is, it's extremely powerful. Same thing, your reports, are they still working? Still working means what? Do they still refresh? That will validate the universe, the connection, database connectivity. This is not your server anymore. You're hosted somewhere. So, so validating that the reports actually refresh with the speed that you expect, and they give you the data and the formatting that you expect as well, is very important. And this is something that you do want to automate and not have to do manually. So you test a lot, because you can, not test a little because nobody likes this thing and it's time consuming. So here's an example here. Here, I've only tested 3 reports, but imagine there could be hundreds in here, right? This report here, everything is green. Thankfully, nothing's highlighted, everything is green. It worked. I'm very happy. This one here, you can see it's orange, and we have things highlighted in red here. Or see, we see differences. Before it was 115, now it's 138. So there's clearly a difference with 2013. There's a data difference, which is causing a chart difference as well. So I'm not happy with that at all. And this tool here has compared, the different pages, the data, the formatting, and the graphical element. But I said performance is important. See, this is an example here I did when I migrated my universe pointing from SQL Server to Snowflake. Well, in this case, I'm happy. I moved from 21 seconds to 5 seconds. Very happy with that. But the other way around, I wouldn't be so happy. So again, validating the user experience and validating that the data is right. And this is a machine. This is a tool doing this for you, right? This tool here, this one report has 954 pages. That was created, it's documented, it's proven that you have tested everything. No human can replace this level of perfection and speed to test content. So again, part of that same 360 package offering I was talking about, you get all of these things. So once that everything is there, that your reports look good and the performance is as you expect, well, you kind of go live now, you're ready. But once you're live, and now you do have 360 because, well, you have used 360 for the first 8 steps, well, continue to use 360 for the future. Not only do backups because you want to do cleanup, no, do backups so you can delete anything that you lost, but have a full disaster recovery strategy, right? With 360, I go back here. Yes, you do backups, and backups, like I said, for a fully comprehensive recycle bin, but you do it because you can roll back, and roll back, you do that when there's been a disaster, and you can, recover all of your deleted object from a point in time to another environment. This is extremely powerful.
And Patrick, very often I hear customers saying, oh, Bruno, we don't need a backup or DR solution when we go to the cloud. And I know it's wrong. Can you comment around that? What are the differences and what are the advantages of the incremental capabilities?
Cloud or no cloud is the same thing, right? So if I go to my CMC right now, okay, I'm going to my CMC here and I'm going to delete these 5 users right now. Like I've done before, inboxes have been gone, personal documents are gone, it's all gone here. And if I go to the recycle bin, they're not here, they're gone. So if I need to recover these users and all these personal contents that have been lost, I have, if you don't have 360, the only thing you can do is recover from your backup that you took the night before. And hopefully you have a backup that runs every day. And hopefully it was successful, that backup. And hopefully you know how to recover from, disk and database backups. But doing this, what time is it now? It's 4 p.m. for me, right? So if I recover my backup taken last night, now it's 4 p.m., well, I'm going to lose everything that's been done between last night and 4 p.m. right now. So I have to take a real decision. Do I lose stuff because I need to recover users, or I don't recover the users? Now, finally, the more technical people listening here will understand, well, Patrick, I could build a new business object server and I could restore to that new server, and then I could take these users and promote them back to my promotion environment, and that would be absolutely correct. You could do all this, but how long would that take you? A day or two now, it depends, again, in how much of a rush you are versus going in a web page, saying, I want to recover my users. You don't even have to type the name of the user, you just do this, and here you go. The users are just deleted, they're here. And then you're done in seconds with a few clicks with no technical skills at all. So yeah, that's what I would say, Bruno. On-prem or cloud, it doesn't matter. If you have a backup done by a backup software which has no knowledge of the application itself, it's never going to be as powerful.
Thank you, Patrick.
Have I answered the question? Okay, good
you
stuff.
have.
And finally, last thing I would say is you're live, you have your backups, you're ready for disaster recovery. Why not take advantage of what I've shown you earlier here with these admin tasks and set up some maintenance, I don't know, daily, weekly maintenance tasks to keep, so you can keep your platform healthy, right? So I can say, do it, what did I say? I forgot. I said daily, I think. Every day at, I don't know, here we go, at midnight. And here you can say, well, I don't know, I'd like to disable users that have not logged on for 30 days. I hear that a lot, actually, in some sectors. Or I would like to clear the inboxes because perhaps it was a big problem for you. Everything which has not been read and older than 30 days, here we go. So you can create a lot of little maintenance tasks like this. which when something happens, we can inform you over Slack or different webhooks or email, of course. And then you are notified that, okay, well, I've just purged this, I've disabled that, and now that becomes a task that runs for you in the background here. So again, 360 is helping you with preparing for the switch to PCE. It's helping you to do it, and it's helping you to keep a good eye on it, because like I said before, it's not SAP doing this for you. The administration of the application is still done by yourselves.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Appreciate.
All right, so let's go back to the slides. What do I have here? I think, well,